Hello and welcome to Donington Park for the first round of the second season of BTCC Fans PS4 Racing League. We go into season 2 with a new layout in terms of how our league drivers are, but we're starting on a more familiar circuit in Donington where we started last season. My name's Daniel Francis. I race as TMLS 313 and I'm going to sit in on commentary tonight. It is my first time on my own, so please be gentle. This is qualifying. We've started about 2 minutes ago. So far nobody's set a lap, so we'll just start and we'll go on board with M. Curtis here and see exactly how a lap of Donington looks from the driver's circuit. So heading down into the first corner, red gate, dropping down to third, and unfortunately he's just gone off there. I think he may have been distracted by one of the cars who was coming out of the pits. Through Hollywood, now down into the Craner curves, down towards the old hairpin. You want to drop to about 4th gear here, try and get the back end to swing out a little bit, then foot on the throttle as you come outside. Through Schwantz, up into McLean's, again another 3rd gear corner this one. Try and get that back end just to flick out a little bit. As you head now down into Coppice, another 3rd gear right-hander. Getting this right sets you up for the back stretch, the Dunlop straight, which heads down into the final 2 corners, which is the Fogarty Esses chicane, which you can generally take 3rd, 2nd, some do take it in 4th, out of here, get in as good a run as you can and over the line to head back down into the first corner, and we'll just stay on board in the hope that Curtis can hold on to it this time without any distraction and we won't put it down to the commentator's curse. So heading now into the table, we've got fastest at the moment, just leaving the pits obviously for a second time, is James Reed, who's done a 1:12.241. If we compare that to his grading time last week, he's actually 1.9 seconds faster than he did, so obviously having a much better night this time. We'll head on to the trackside cameras as we'll go through the field. Second place, Cole W29 LKR. He's just heading into red gate there. He's set a 1:13.123. Again, faster than his grading time, so obviously the track is looking like it's a bit faster this time. Through the old hairpin, good line through there. You could see he just got the back end to stick out nicely. Head down to 3rd, Chip Douglas. Another guy who's up on his grading time, this time only by a 1/10. Looking good there in the Mercedes. As we have seen, into second place has popped Mr. Blonde 92. He's driving the Opel. James, who's on pole, is in the Mercedes. Mr. Blonde was actually the fastest in grading, and as you can see he has actually gone off there unfortunately, allowing Seinsdad to come through in another Opel. Mr. Blonde's time last week was a 12.825. He's also on a 12.4, so obviously he's also faster. So people are definitely finding more time either in the track itself or just with a bit of experience. In 5th place was Seinsdad, who we just mentioned going through the screen. He's on a 1:13.241. Last week he set a 12.2, so he's definitely got another second in him. If he found that second, he could find himself right on the pace at the front there. We've got Josie Hopper. He's gone off there at the exit of the Goddard's chicane. Looks like he's done a bit of damage to his car. Will he try and soldier on? Yes, he will. Of course, the damage settings are set to only being visual, so it's not going to affect his performance here. But obviously he's not come onto the first straight with as much speed as he could, and he has actually just overcooked it a little bit there. But there's still 8 minutes, over half a session, plenty of time to go. He's on a 13.7. Last week he did a 13.0, so again, another guy who's got some time in him, and we have seen it a lot better today, but not the best of lines there for the old hairpin. And in fact, if we just look at the table, Sainz Dad, as we said, he had some time in him, and he has now moved up to third. Sainz Dad, of course, one of the returning racers from last year's table. Last year he actually finished fourth. He had a best position of third place, which came at Alton Park. Here at Donington last year, he only finished 8th, unfortunately, but there were 11 runners. It was one of the better subscribed meetings last year. Of course, we've got 11 again this year in the first round. He's now improved. He's gone up to second. And I think the next guy we were going to look at, as we just see Carl Walker going wide at Redgate, 7th place, Bill C99. He's up by 3 thousandths at the end of the first sector. That's him there. The other guy going out of shot was one of the Mercedes. This, of course, is the Opel. Heads down into Coppice. Mercedes is going over to the side. Nice line through Coppice. Good gearing. Full throttle now, heading down the back straight, the Dunlop straight, of course named because he used to have the Dunlop bridge over it, now long gone and rumoured to have been sold to Chris Evans, not Captain America, the more irritating Ginger DJ, if we're allowed to call people gingers these days. If not, you'll probably find that I'll be taken off air anytime soon. Bill stays in 7th there, but it is an improvement. 8th place, our only BMW in the race, Twigster Give Death. This is one of our new drivers. Again, he's just improved, 2 tenths up, but he has actually just dropped down to 9th. I think we've got in 6th place is Marcus, who's actually improved there. As I said, Twigster is the only one here in the BMW. It's a very hard car to control if you're not used to it. You can see him taking a lot of inside curve there, but unfortunately I think he's held on to the right a little bit and must be giving people space before he comes back on. Always good to see, although he does actually appear to be stopping, so maybe he's going to return to the pit. So, oh no, he's getting underway. The BMW can sometimes be hard to actually get going. It has quite an interesting clutch compared to the other cars. If you want to do a fast start in it, which is more than capable of, you've got to play about with auto clutch and lots of settings which we won't go into here. Hopefully Twixter knows about that. We'll certainly be watching out for him at the start. But just going back up to 6 then, so M. Curtis, he's in the Opel. Classic Opel and Vauxhall livery on that car, holding number 1, but of course he's actually a newcomer to the league. There was a very lucky champion last year in this league who has moved up to League 2. I forget what his name was, but I'm sure somebody watching will know who he is and tell me to stop talking about myself. We have got a chat room on the feed tonight. Pop along, feel free to say hi. Where I can, I will go through any comments we've got. So we're still watching M. Curtis going through here. There's somebody going up just on the grass there. Not sure who that is. Try to find out. And in fact, Sainz Dad has actually gone fastest now, a 1:12.1, which I think is faster than what he did last week. I'll have to switch to another piece of paper which I'm looking at, which of course in this day and age isn't really paper. Yes, he did a 12:261 last week, so he's found time as well. Just looking down to the last guy in the field. Obviously I've said we've got 11th, but 11th place is actually being held by our race host Scott Minnie, who's not taking part in this session. Scott of course is in League One. Let's just say if he was to go out there, we could have some very upset people with some of the times he might post, but he's thankfully staying in the pits, which is what we really want him to do. But here's Mutz, and oh, he's not going to improve his time on this lap. He's gone off at Coppice. No, sorry, not Coppice, it's McLean's, which I should know because I used to sit at that when we used to have a Donington supporters group. And over, I think I saw, yes, M. Curtis, or ooh, M. Curtis. Oh! He's come onto the track there. Oh, I'm not sure who it was he hit. It must have been Bill. Very, very poor return to the track there. And I think I've just seen, yes, Curtis again has gone off. Still at McLean's, I think this is. Looks like he's trying to move forward, and hopefully he will realise that to go backwards you've got to find reverse. There we go, into neutral. Can he find the gear with an R on it? No, he's gone back into the pits. So, as you see, Seinsdad, current pole sitter, heading down into the old hairpin. 2 minutes and about 20 seconds to go, so should have time for 2 more laps here. Second place, James Reed, is currently in the pits. He needs to get out if he's going to go for another lap in the next 10-15 seconds. Doesn't look like there's any sign of that. Mr. Blonde in third place, great line coming round through the old hairpin. But he's already nearly 3 tenths down. Coming up are Mutz Nuts. Hopefully Mutz will be able to just move out of the way here at McLean's. No. In fact, he's actually ghosting, which is not part of the settings, so that's obviously the game deciding to do that. Obviously, we ask our drivers to let people through, but if they're on a hot lap as well, they don't have to. And we have seen that Mr. Blonde is a 10th up. That's not going to be enough for pole at the moment, but it could be enough for second. Heads down, Fogarty chicane, takes the right, takes the left, held it on to third. Great line through there. He had a little lock up going in. Will this be second? No, it will be pole as he finds 3.5 tenths. Well done there, Mr. Blonde. He was the fastest in grading, so you could argue he was going to be the favourite for qualifying here. But look at that, a 1:12 dead, which is a full 8 tenths faster than he did last week. And in fact, I should say he was fastest in grading for League 3. He wasn't actually fastest at Donington. Fastest for Donington was Seinsdad. So very good showing from him. James Reed, don't think he's going to make it out. If he is, he's certainly not going to make it to a line. 4th place, Carl Walker, also in the pits. Jossie Hopper has made it through. Will get another chance to set a lap. Oh, going a bit wide there. That's not going to be very good, but he's certainly got some time he can find there. Looks like he's jerking the car. I think that's actually more of a internet connection issue. It's come through the old hairpin and through Schwantz, and he is down. So we'll take a look. Chip Douglas in 6th. He's coming down through the craners, down to the old hairpin. Keeps it in 4th. Nice line on the curb. You can take a little bit more than that and still keep 2 car wheels on the track, which is what we ask everybody. He's a 10th down, but it's certainly a nice smooth line up through there into McLean's. Nice line, stayed off the curve on the way in. He's looking quite good. Tidy lap. What will his split time be? No, he's still down. So he goes onto the back straight. We'll take a look at, let's see what Mr. Blonde's doing. Our pole sitter has actually taken the checkered flag. He thinks he's done enough. Can someone do it? Most drivers now in the pits. We have Twixter in that lone BMW. He looks like he's finished. He's slowed. Chip Douglas now comes across the line. Can he improve on 6? He does make an improvement, but it's not enough to go for Jossie in 5th. He's already crossed the line. Mr. Blonde sitting around. Jossie and Chip. Those are your 3 cars who are on the track, and we give our first blood pole to Mr. Blonde in the Opel. In fact, it's an Opel 1-2 with Science Dad second. Third place, James Reed. We'll go through the table when it displays in a second, or 3 seconds as it is now. So on pole it's Mr. Blonde 92 with a 1 minute 12, second Science Dad, third James Reed, fourth Carl Walker, 5th Josie Hopper, 6th Chip Douglas, 7th M Curtis, 8th Bill C99, 9th Twixter Give Death, and rounding out the 10 drivers tonight, Much Nuts 485. Just to say that Matthew Lawson is our 11th driver. Unfortunately can't be with us tonight, but thankfully we do have a drop scores rule in the event, so as long as he doesn't miss anything else it won't affect his final scores. So sitting on the grid waiting for everybody to synchronise up with their car. Can take a minute and a half this. But we can see there Opel, Opel, Mercedes, 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 Opel. Then I think that's another Opel and a BMW, and we are now just about synced. The final syncing's going through, the revs are rising, lights are on, 3 lights, 4 lights, lights out, and they're off. Great start from Mr. Blonde. Looks like he's taken a couple of car lengths there. Coming up on the inside though is James Reed. Oh, door handle to door handle, it sent Mr. Blonde off. Reed is still in the lead. Second place, Carl Walker, and we've seen James and Carl, and it looks like Carl's actually on his roof, but he's managed to flip around. Oh, what a shame there. I think we'll have to have a look at that one, and James Reed seems to have taken quite a lot of line there. Is he giving the place back? Well, I'm not sure if it's on purpose or not. He seems to be a little bit out of control. Just about holds it into me clean. Mr. Blonde, is he going to look for revenge, or is he just going to say thank you, bye, as he moves up the inside of him? James turns in. I think Mr. Blonde just lifted a little bit there. Heading down the Dunlop straight. Josie Hopper with a good seconds lead heading into the foggies. Mr. Blonde doesn't take a look. Chip in fourth. Much Not a fantastic start from the back up at the grid. Obviously taking advantage, but you don't get to be up there if you're not in the right place at the right time. M Curtis 6th. Twixter 7th in the BMW. 8th for Bill. 9th for Carl. And 10th place, Science Dad, our second place. Obviously the big person who lost out there. I don't want to say the big loser, but I very nearly did. But he should have the pace to get back towards the front. Oh, we've seen somebody take in there. Ooh, M Curtis took a massive cut through the middle of the craners. He's got Bill behind him. He definitely took advantage from that, so I'm thinking really he should be given the place back. That might be something for the stewards to look at afterwards. Bill dropping off, unfortunately. Back up to the front, we've still got this battle for second. Mr. Blonde hasn't got past Chip Douglas. They come onto the front straight, still together. Is Mr. Blonde going to be able to have a look going into Redgate? Chip doesn't actually defend there. Blonde didn't have a look. Meanwhile, 4th place now for Much Nuts, having a fantastic race compared to a dreadful qualifying session. But still staying here, Mr. Blonde all over the back of Chip. Takes a wider line. Oh, and Chip's gone off, coming out. Comes back on, looks like he's come on safely. Nobody behind him, certainly didn't take an advantage there. But that's now left Mr. Blonde in second. 4.3 seconds. As we've seen, I think that's Mutt's nuts as Chip Douglas takes third place back, but Mutt's all over his gearbox coming on to the Dunlop straight. Equal cars. Mutt's obviously looking to show the qualifying was a blip. Takes a much later braking line. Can he hold it in? Yes, he can. Takes the curb, but Chip's probably going to get a better drive coming out. And look out for Josie Hopper, who's over the back of both of them. Coming down into Redgate. Josie takes the pit lane. Oh, and I think Josie just lost it going into the corner. He's kept it straight enough. And Bill didn't take advantage. We're also seeing Cole Walker going off there. Marcus still in 8th, Twigster 9th, Seinstad still 10th, long way back. Back to this battle now for 3rd. Chip doesn't seem to be able to drop much, who's definitely found a lot of pace compared to his qualifying. Into McLean's, just a little bit too far back to have a look. Up into Coppice. Oh, and I think that's Carl Walker. Yes, Carl Walker who's gone off. And McLean's. No, it's not Carl. It's Marcus. No, it's Bill. Sorry. First race, we're trying to work out what all these white and yellow cars, which ones they are. Obviously gone off there. Things have started to change around here because Mutz has actually dropped down to 5th and he's battling with Carl Walker. This is actually the biggest battle on the track at the moment. Remember, new approach this year, 2 races at every track. The second race will be 12 laps instead of the 17 we're having here, and will be a random grid. Unfortunately, Project Cars doesn't allow you to do reverse grids, so that's the best we're going to be able to do in this, but double the points up for grabs on a night compared to last year, and of course 8 rounds this year instead of 5. Still battling round McLean's. Mutz, who had a great first few laps here. Just drops off a little in Coppice. Probably going to be too far back as it comes down the Dunlop straight. We'll take a look at Speedo so we know what time they're doing. Second gear through the chicane, perhaps a little bit down from normal, but different people take different lines through there. But he has definitely dropped a lot. Still the closest battle on track though. In the background we have got Twigster. He's over the back of Marcus's Opel. That BMW much faster in a straight line, not enough for him to catch up to Curtis. Through the corner, this is where the BMW becomes tricky. Put your foot down. If you haven't got it just right, it will give out on you. Into the crane of curves, down into the old hairpin, 5th gear, into 4th, very clean line through there. Again, it's probably better just to try and flick it into there, have your back end stick out a bit. And we now have actually, oh, Mr. Blonde has gone off in 3rd. Mr. Blonde off at Coppice. What happened to him there? That of course has promoted Chip Douglas into 2nd. Now Josie Hopper, he's right on the back. Can he do anything? We'll ride on board with him on his bonnet. Let's take another lap of Donington. Moves over just into the pit lane. It's probably the best line there. Again, Josie is jerking quite a bit here, possibly due to internet connection. He might be on controller, although looking at that, yes, I'd say that's probably an internet connection. Gains a lot going into the old hairpin, but then braked. What a shame. If he'd kept his foot in there, he could possibly have had a fantastic run on Mr. Blonde, who's now pulled away. Oh, and Blonde's gone again! in McLean's. Josie going round the corner. Side by side, I think. And Carl Walker also comes through. What is happening to Mr. Blonde here? Ryan Coppis, 3-car battle for third. Down into the Fogarty S's. Nice line for Mr. Blonde. Definitely had one mistake. Was it 2 mistakes? Dropped him down from 2nd to 5th. Down into Reggae. He's going to have a chance here. Has a little look. Thinks better. Holds on. Now it's just a case of stalking, coming down through Hollywood. The second corner. Now down into the Craner curves again. Staying with his prey. Defensive line there, and oh, Carl Walker with a fantastic drift through the corner, and looks like he's going to get Josie Hopper. No, has to drop down behind him, and now Mr. Blonde's all over the back of both of them. Into McLean's. Can anything be done here? Carl has a look. Josie all over the place again. Internet connection. He's not actually doing that. Well, we hope he's not. Oh, and Josie's gone wide at Coppis. Unbelievable. What a shame. Our 3-car fight for third is now a 2-car fight. Mr. Blonde in the Opel versus that Mercedes, which has seen better days, and it looks like Mr. Blonde wanted to see if he can make some modifications of his own with his bumper now flapping around. Heading down, back into Redgate. Both drivers stay within the track. Of course, even with track limits on, you can use the pit lane there. It just gives you a much straighter line through Redgate. Neither driver trying that. Obviously just want to stay in touch. Carl obviously looking more for a defensive line. Again, slightly tighter into the old hairpin. Mr. Blonde, though, looks like he took a much better line through there. He didn't play any games, and now he has got a run. But can he do anything into McLean's? This is the corner before now. No, he doesn't. Stays back. Carl takes a more defensive line. Now again through Coppis. Not close enough to make an attempt, but can he build some momentum going onto the back straight? Carl's car there definitely seen better days. Missing its rear wing. Oh, and a lock up through the chicane. No advantage there. Mr. Blonde says thank you very much. Through he goes. Now Josie Hopper. Can he do anything? But no, because Carl takes a look. He wants that place straight back. Goes wide at Redgate. Now it won't help getting that dust flicking up. Dirties your tyres. Back down. Old hairpin. Still takes a tight line. That must be his line. It might not be a defensive one. But Josie now within 2 seconds. Can he do anything? Carl within half a second will go on board. We'll see what he can see. Into Coppis, takes plenty of curb, still keeps 2 wheels on the track, looking to get that slipstream coming out on the back street, down under where the Dunlop Bridge used to be. Under braking, brake on, 3rd gear, holds it, starts to accelerate mid corner. Very nice. Avoids the curve as he comes out. Easy mistake to make that, but he did it perfectly. Now he takes a little bit of pit lane. Definitely closes up during the corner. Can he get on the gas in time? Yes, it looks like he can. Heading down into the Craners. Let's have a look from on board at this line which Carl seems to be taking again. He takes it from the middle of a track, but we've seen Mr. Blonde has actually gone wide coming out. Now will this give him momentum through to Carl? Heading up 5th gear. Foot flat to the floor through the corner of McLean's. Oh, getting very close. Manages to avoid touching Unfortunately, it probably just dropped some of that momentum away. Into Coppice. Again, same line. 2 wheels on the curb, 2 wheels on the track. Absolutely perfect. Taking a look there, probably dropped over the slipstream a bit, but we can see in the distance there, it looks like that we now have a battle for second. Mr. Blonde has actually... Well, it looked like he caught up. No, it's not. It's a battle for first, because Chip Douglas has actually taken James Reed. Has James had a problem? A change for the lead. We could just see it in the distance while we were on board. Now, though, 2 Mercedes, the car of choice in this league. In fact, the choice for most drivers in the league. Of course, we've said goodbye to the Renault Megane this season. Combination of too many people liking it, and it also being a lot faster than almost all the other cars, and certainly the easiest to drive of the fast cars. Into Coppice. James Reed says, I want that position back. 5 laps to go at the end of this one. Flashes his lights, keeps his lights on. He's letting him know he's there. Into Foggy. Defensive line from Chip. James takes a look around the inside, then it's the outside. Drops off a bit. 0.6, 0.7. He's dropping back down the straight. Didn't get as clean an exit. Meanwhile, Mr. Blonde does look like he's closing. He's now just 5.7 seconds away. Chip with a big lock up into the first corner. James now a second down. That's what can happen when you lose a bit of time going through the chicane. It's always worth getting your line right there, even if it means you can't make a pass, because you will have a lot more of an advantage going into the first corner. Through the old hairpin, nice line there. Through Schwantz. Heading down towards McLean's. Takes the right hand, third gear, perfect. James, he's now within 6 tenths. He is closing on this lap. Into Coppice, but back up to 9th, 8 tenths, 7 tenths. Oh, and James takes too much grass there as he's going through the corner. It's dropped him down. 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. Has that given Chip the lead, or has James got enough time? 4 laps to get back in touch with him. The field now starting to string out with a few laps to go, and on 2 wheels. There's no doubt that James is trying hard. 1.2, 1.3 again. Just losing a bit of time coming onto the straight. Mr. Blonde now 4.6 behind the lead. Definitely closing in. He's done a 112.4, which took a second out of a leader. 113.5 with James Reed 14.0. That half a second he lost overall, equating to over a second behind. All the time, Mr. Blonde reels him in. 4.7. But James again through the craners manages to catch a bit of time up. There you see just how close they are. That's not social distancing, that's racing, boys. Heading up to Coppice. Meanwhile, Mr. Blonde, you see him there in the background. He is closing, but James Reed certainly seems to be having the better of the laps here. But again, it looks like he might have lost a bit coming onto the straight, and he's starting to drop away. Chip, third gear. Nicely through there. James Reed again on 2 wheels. He is trying as hard as he can in that number 29 Mercedes. Lights ablaze. Over the line. 15 thousandths of a second between the lap times there. Meanwhile, Mr. Blonde, another 7 tenths taken out of him on that lap. He sees blood, which is probably not a good idea with a guy whose screen name I assume is named after Reservoir Dogs. We know where they get their blood from, and it's not good for ears. Chip Douglas, he's come out of the old hairpin. Nice line. Same with James, still stalking. 1.3 seconds. We know how hard he was trying. And again, look at that. Back end steps out. But once more, he's just starting to drop 10th here, a 10th there. Manages to get a few, but oh, he's gone off onto the grass. Now what's this going to do for Mr. Blonde? Mr. Blonde looked like he might have been a little wide there, but he's now within a second. Coming down the straight, James Reed looked like he was going to go defensive. Goes back to take the line. Mr. Blonde, very nice straight line through there. Not taking the curves, and he flashes his lights. I'm coming for you. Will he get him? 2 laps to go. Another flash. Into Redgate. Nice tight line again for Mr. Blonde. Into Hollywood. Keeps it wide. Probably the best thing to do there. Now down into the Craners. 8/10 separate these two. Meanwhile, Chip Douglas has started to pull away at the front. 2.5 seconds now. Mr. Blonde within half a second. Look at that, all 3 of them. A lap and a half to go. Chip looks like he's in the Pound Street seats, but who's it going to be for second? This is where James Reed made his mistake a lap ago. Will he be able to hold on to it this time? Yes, he can. Meanwhile, Mr. Blonde now half a second. He's going to be all over his gearbox on the main straight. In fact, he might even be all over it now. James Reed doesn't take a defensive line. Feels he's got enough. Mr. Blonde, nice line through there. Perhaps a bit tight coming out. Flashes his lights. I want you, he says. 1 lap to go. Despite this, Chip Douglas has lost a bit of time. It's now down to 1.7 at the front. 1.6. Is he just driving conservatively? Into the Craners. The 3 cars all close together. Mr. Blonde now 8/10 behind James Reed. James has gone off it, coming out of the old hairpin. He's taking too much grass. That's going to allow Mr. Blonde to be all over him. Does Mr. Blonde take a look into the inside? No. Right into McLean's. Is he going to go to the right here? He can't. James takes all the curb he can. Heading down now into Coppice. This is going to go to the line, boys. Onto the back straight. Chip Douglas 1.8 seconds ahead, pulling away. Looks like he's got the win in the bag. These two though battle for second. Coming down into the chicane. Mr. Blonde on the outside. Oh, he's just outbraked himself. Both drivers locked up, but Mr. Blonde just too much, sends him wide. Flashes his lights. Good try. Chip Douglas, there's your race winner. James Reed led most of the race, finishes second. Mr. Blonde in third. 4th place Carl Walker. 5th place Josie Hopper with Signs Dad, who's managed to get back up to 6 from his early race woes. We also are down to 9. I am trying to work out who's actually retired from the race. Not quite sure at the moment. But there's Twixter coming through the chicane. Last man to finish. Only 21 seconds behind. No, that's quite respectable. As we head to the race results screen. So, Chip Douglas, your winner. James Reed, second. Mr. Blonde, third. Carl W29LKR, 4th. Josie Hopper, Seinstad, Mutsnuts, U.M. Curtis, Twigs to Give Death, and 10th place Scott Minnie. Of course, he will not receive any points for that. He's not actually part of this. But we have had somebody disconnect, I'm afraid. I'm just trying to work out who it is who's missing. It's Bill. Unfortunately, Bill C99. What happened there? But now, as we will reset, we're going to have a second race as part of a new format for this season. Thank you to those watching. We have got a few of you. First time doing this on my channel. We have got the chat room. If you want to say hello, please say hello. If there's anybody watching who's not part of the league and has any questions, feel free to ask. We head back to the lobby. The guys we can see talking about it just there on the left of the screen. But what a fantastic opening race. Newcomer takes the win. So we will see that race period will drop down to 12 laps. There it goes. The qualifying should drop down to, well, not 24 hours. We need to actually take away all the qualifying there. If the minimum, if we can't get rid of qualifying, we need to do 5 minutes, but 24 hours is not going to be a good idea. I think if we start there, I hope Scott's listening to this. He seems to be chatting. We do not want 24 hours of qualifying, or we'll still be here tomorrow. Just looking into the chat, James W. Great race, he says, and thank you for the compliment as well. As I said, this is my first time. I'm not the most confident of doing this. I've done it with other people before, but I've never led. Hopefully we can get better. We are going in. No, he's realised. I hope we were just about to start, but it went back to waiting. Qualifying still set at 24 minutes. Oh, sorry, 24 hours. I'm just going to try and send a message. We do not want to be here for 24 hours. As great as the racing's been, as great as qualifying could be, I don't think any of us wants that. And I don't think that I'll be able to do commentating for 24 hours. He has seen it. I've managed to get a message to him. He is going to reply. He says it's off, no qualifying. Well, we'll just have to take his word for it. Ah, yes, there it is. It has gone. Bill C99 is back in the lobby. We have 12 out of 16 with Scott, who of course isn't racing, he's just hosting. That means we have got our full 11, so hopefully we will get underway. 12 laps. Random grid. You can hear the real engines there firing up. Unfortunately, that's a motorbike outside my house. If you can't hear it, then this means nothing. But we're heading down into the race. Those guys must be enjoying it. They must be watching. That, or it's probably local drug dealers saying thanks from the estate I live on. James W again in the chat. Shame no reverse grid option. Yes, it is. It's big shame. I'm sure we'd love to have been able to do that this year. Reverse grid or partial reverse grid like they actually do in touring cars. But this is the closest we've got. Nice sprint race, 12 laps, 5 laps shorter. And we're heading onto the grid now. So, on pole is Josie Hopper. Second, your winner from the first race in a great second place. Seinsdad third, fourth, Marcus. Fifth place, Carl Walker. Sixth, Twigs. Seventh, Mr. Blonde. Back in down there, James Reed, your leader for most of the race, down in eighth. Bill ninth, Mutsnots again in 11th. What a shame for him. Random at the back, and we're off. Josie, great start there. Oh, we've got a crash at the back. I think that's Bill and Marcus. No, it's Carl, sorry. Oh, carnage straight away. But Josie managed to get a couple of lengths, 3-4 lengths maybe, from the winner of the first race. Chip Douglas. Back end steps out for Josie. That's the way to take it. Seinsdad third, trying to make up for the problem we had before. And oh, that's James Reed from the first race. Got into it, I think, with Mr. Blonde. Managed to hold it fifth. Took the short away through there. No fault of his own. Won't be an issue there. Meanwhile, Chip Douglas 7/10 behind Josie. If we had DRS, he'd be close enough. But so is Seinsdad. Look at him. Right on the back. Where would he have been if he hadn't had his troubles in the first race? Top Opel here. Good little carve out around a track like this. It's not brilliant on the straight line speed, but you can throw it around. Looks like he's heading up the inside. Oh, just give each other enough room, and Signs Dad perhaps pulled out of it a bit too much. And now coming around the outside, Mr. Blonde. No, tucks in. Back end out there for Mr. Blonde. Not the corner to do that on. That's the corner to do it on, and he does. Signs Dad a little bit wide there. Up the inside of Chip Douglas. They've touched, and oh, he's turned Chip. Chip, oh, he's lost it. He's going to go into James Reed, and no! Chip's there. I think the stewards will have to look at that one. Probably something there where Signs Dad probably should have just dropped out a bit. And that's another car off there. It's Signs Dad. Well, we can't say that he's taken any advantage from that. Oh, what a shame. Bill, C99, at the back, takes Signs Dad. And Signs Dad, just like he was in the first race, down at the back, 10th place. Got it all to do. Meanwhile, at the front, Mr. Blonde is now all over the back of Josie. Points to Opel. He's now the top Opel. Big lock up for Josie Hopper there. Coming down into Hollywood. Josie starting to jerk again. Oh, good line there. And it looks like he's got a good run. Going to head down into McLean's. Oh, jerking from Josie there. Will he have put Mr. Blonde off? He will probably be able to see the same problem that we can there. Meanwhile, Josie into Coppice. Can't quite tell what his line is, but it looks good because he's still ahead. Mr. Blonde, will he make a move coming down into Foggies? No, but he closes right up. Oh, and Josie goes wide. Well, this will be enough. I think Mr. Blonde's going to have it here. How much defence will Josie do? The Mercedes does have a better top speed, but unfortunately not that much better. But he has got the inside line into Redgate, and he tries to outbrake side by side. Oh, Mr. Blonde a bit wide. Josie's got his lead back. Into the old hairpin. Josie looks up again. Mr. Blonde, great line through there. He's now got a fantastic run coming out of the old hairpin into Schwantz. Up the inside, backs off a little. Sees Josie jerk in, probably doesn't want to be in the wrong place. Up now into Coppice. Keeps tight in behind him. Oh, and Josie! No, he's gone off at Coppice. Makes it easy for Mr. Blonde. Josie, I think, still off. The camera's still trying to catch him up. There he is. He comes through. I think James Reed will probably just catch him by the end. There was a quick flash of a light there. Yes, he's going to catch him, but he's not going to be close enough to pass. I think Josie took a bit too much curb again. And now James Reed. This should be easy pickings. I think James will have the inside line, but it's Mercedes versus Mercedes. They have potentially the same top speed, just depends which of the two setups they've used. And Josie turns in a little bit. Oh, and they touch again, and oh, we'll have to have a look at that. James backwards across the track, thankfully doesn't catch anybody up. Twixter up into third in the BMW, taking advantage. Josie, oh, what happened there? We'll have a look at that, I'm sure. As we expected, this is action-packed in our random grid race. Josie looks like he's struggling. Is it actually just his connection? Meanwhile, Mr. Blonde pulling away at the front. 5.5 seconds. Chip. Now he's up with Twixter in that BMW. The BMW should have a top speed advantage, but it's not going to be when you're going sideways. And Chip up the inside, hardly close enough to make that move. The stewards are going to be in for some hours in the steward's room after this one. Twigster back on the grid now. Carl Walker takes past him. Sorry, it's Carl W29 LKR. It's easier to say his real name because it basically is the same. Battle for third. James Reed looking at Marcus. Marcus didn't have the best of grading here at Donington, but taking advantage of both the reverse grid, sorry, the random grid here, and everybody else's issues. Into the old hairpin, very nice and tight. Again, another one who perhaps looks like the car's just jerking a bit. Could be controller error on this one. I don't think it's an internet issue. And James Reed, oh, he's giving him a bit of a punt up the back. Carl gives him some back. That's it, boys, just pull apart. We don't want any handbags here. James kept two wheels on. Carl Walker went wide, and oh, there he is. He's going to need to put his sail up. He's gone a sail up. He's gone to sea. So that's James up into third. Chip Douglas fourth. We saw these two battling in the first race. But we've now got half of the race finished. As Murray Walker once said, that's half the race gone. We've got half of the race to go. It's the best battle on the track here. We do have a battle for fifth though. 3-car battle for fifth. Twigster. Saw him in third briefly. Will he be one of the guys who's going to be going to the stewards with a complaint later? We could definitely see some penalties in this one. Meanwhile, Mr. Blonde now 7 seconds ahead, taking advantage of everything going on behind him. Josie Hopper, as we said, 7 seconds behind, but he's 5 seconds ahead of James Reed. James Reed, though, 3/10 ahead of Chip Douglas as they come onto the back straight. Will Chip go for it? Oh, James goes onto the grass. No advantage from doing things like that. If anything, it's a disadvantage. Takes a nice line in. None of the two-wheel corner hitting that we saw in the first race here. But despite that, Chip has actually got a good run on him, but he's on the outside. Chip uses a bit of the pit lane, takes a wider line in, turns in, gives him enough room, holds on. But James had that inside line, shorter way around. Chip tucks in behind, he's going to go for it. Another corner. James pulls a little bit out. Both of them keeping it quite tidy through the old hairpin. Up into Schwantz. Half a second between these two now. Heading up to Coppice. 6 attempts now. James Reed is managing to just pull out slightly. Both go through Coppice cleanly, but I think that Chip will have had the better run out of there. It's down to 4 tenths. Not going to be close enough to go into the chicane. Be how tidy they both are through here. They keep it, both keeping it nice and tidy. 7 tenths between them, so obviously James took a slightly better line through there. Meanwhile, in the back, we can still see this 3-car battle. Twigster has managed to get past Marcus, but Marcus looks like he's going to come back and try again. 5th place, 6th place, 7th place, all into Redgate. That BMW in the middle, as I've said before, it's a harder car to drive, but Twigster seems to be handling it quite nicely. Believe me, if you can't handle it, we would know, because every corner you come out of, he would be going backwards. Through the old hairpin, nice line through there. Meanwhile, we'll go back up here. These cars are now a second between each other, James Reed and Chip. It's Chip just dropping back. That Mercedes does have front left tyre which overheats easily. 3 laps to go at the end of this one. Mr. Blonde goes on to lap 10. 9.3 seconds ahead now. but we did see him having some mistakes in the first race. Will he hang on to it? Will he learn from them? Down to 8.7, 8.6. Has something happened? No, it looks like he's just having a few messy corners. Josie in second. James Reed, but Chip's now absolutely alongside him. Looks like James had a bad line into the first corner. Chip round the outside. This does not work very easily into the old hairpin. James lifts off a little bit. He obviously knows that. Chip takes third. 2.5 laps to go. Still plenty of time for James to take him back. Into McLean's. James again. He's certainly got the lively of the two cars. As I said before, you have a choice of 2 setups in this league. We use the default setups. You can either have a loose car or you can have a stable car. A lot of the faster drivers will take loose, but sometimes stable. It just gives you enough confidence. And a flash of the lights from James. He wants Chip to know he's still there. Very defensive from Chip. Will James have a run coming out? Looks like he's faster. Goes from the outside to the inside. Into the first corner. James, can he get him under brakes? Locks up. Chip gives him room. Good to see. Looks like all these guys have calmed down after those first few laps when it was messy. Chip with too much curb there. Send him out. And James, oh, did he clip him? I'm not sure there. We'll have to have a look at that one again. Either way, they both got away with it. If I'm honest, I think that it was probably just Chip doing something like that, getting the back end out. But it certainly will be worth looking at if anybody asks us to. Meanwhile, that 3-car battle for 5th is down to a 2-car battle as Marcus has unfortunately dropped a few seconds off. You can see there in the background. You could also see Sainz dad. He's back up from 10th. He's past Bill and Mutt's Nuts. There's Mutt's in the background. There's Bill. Sainz dad was so close to the front early on, and now Marcus, he's looking very slow. Sainz dad, he'll look to take advantage of this. Sainz is a very, very fast racer. One of last year's, as we said. Mr. Blonde, of course, was one of last year's drivers. Side by side. Oh, Curtis. Wow. I'm not sure what that line was, but it seems to have worked. Very wide. Sainz dad seemed to know what he was doing and gave him enough room. One of the marker boards there in the middle. They're only polystyrene. Won't cause an issue. Curtis. This is the best battle on the track at the moment. Sainz dad all over him. And oh, that's Twixter. Twixter's gone off of the old hairpin. Promotes both of these guys up to 6th and 7th. Twixter perhaps now finding that BMW a bit of a handful, as we said. Meanwhile, Mr. Blonde has taken the line. Well done. Dominant race. 2nd place, Josie. 3rd, Chip will catch it. Both him and James Reed in 4th, flashing their lights as they cross the line. Carl Walker takes home 5th. Now though, we have this 3-car battle for 6th again. We have a different car this time, but can Curtis hold on to it? It looks like he can. Sainz dad 2nd. Twixter unfortunately went off. Oh, what a shame. And he's dropped down to last as Mutz has come through in 8th. Bill in 9th. And sadly, that BMW perhaps just being a bit too much at the end. Crawls across the line. Just takes it in time. So, at the end of that, there's Mr. Blonde in 1st, Josie Hoffer 2nd, Chip Douglas 3rd, James Reed 4th, Carl W29 LKR in 5th, M. Curtis in 6th, Sainz Dad 1 in 7th, Mutt's Nuts in 8th, Bill C99 in 9th, and Twixter Give Death unfortunately just dropped down to 10th at the end of that. But look at those laps on the side. all of them within just over a second. This racing is close, and that's going to bring an end to tonight's racing. I've been Daniel Francis, Timless313. James in the chat has said, entertaining 2 races. We're going to see how he gets on racing in League 2 tomorrow. You and me both, James. I'm in League 2 as well. We've got 14 drivers in League 2. Same format as tonight. Practice, qualifying, race 1, and then race 2 with a random grid in a shorter race. We saw carnage in that tonight. But thanks for watching. We've had a few people watching over this last hour. We will be here every night this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So not every night. I'm a bit stupid there. League 2 tomorrow. League 1 on Wednesday when the Fast Boys come out. But tomorrow it's the big grid. 14 drivers. Some could have been fast enough for League 1. But unfortunately, due to the way we had to cut it, they're in League 2. The guys at the back, well, it's me. League 3 champion, but not going to be anywhere near that this year. Thanks very much for listening. Good night.
You